Over the years, there has been a connection between Nollywood and Naija music, a small but mighty collection of stars who have proven that their talents aren't just confined to movies, scripts, and camera lights. For some, music has been a full detour. For others, it became a full-on career path, offering hits that could hold their own against industry heavyweights. Let's look at Nollywood stars with the biggest hit songs. At number 18, we have Gabriel Afalion. He's well known for his stellar acting talents. He had the poetic eyes and a calm delivery, but that is missing out on a whole different vibe he brings to music. Gabriel is one of those rare Nollywood gems who didn't just dabble in music, he committed. His fans lovingly call him G-Fresh in the music scene, and that name carries a coolness that's mirrored in his sound. You might have caught him in films like Hood Rush, Tattoo, or Golden Statue, where he proves time and time again that talent runs in his blood. His father, Gabriel Afalion, aka Ade Love, was a legend after all. But slide over to the music side of things and Gabriel starts channeling a whole new energy. His breakout hits, Okori is the kind of soulful love jam that sounds like it belongs in the background of a heart-fluttering Nollywood romance. Smooth, melodic, and effortlessly emotional, the track took on a life of its own, getting airplay across radio stations and making rounds at weddings. And then there's Awelewa, a beautifully crafted ode to a charming lady laced with traditional Yoruba vibes and the softness of true admiration. These weren't just experimental tracks, they were full-bodied songs that told stories just like he does in his films. What makes Gabriel's music career particularly notable is how intentional he's been about it. He didn't just jump on threads, he carved out a sound rooted in R&B, soul, and Afro fusion. He has many other songs as well. Next up at number 17, we have Attah. He's a quintessential Nollywood heartthrob from the late 90s and early 2000s. The moment he walks on screen with his charming smile, soft-spoken nature, and those deep reflective eyes, you know you're about to witness romantic chaos in the best way. From Glamour Girls to My Love, he was the face of emotional entanglements and misunderstood lovers. He relocated to Germany, and just when fans thought he had fully retired into quiet legend status, he popped up with a guitar in hand and a new title as a musician. Pat made a bit of a return to the spotlight in 2018 with a song called Sunshine. It was a tender and uplifting track, much like his on-screen persona. The lyrics felt personal, the vibe was mellow, and even though it didn't go viral, it resonated with long-time fans who had missed his presence.
You're my sunshine, sunshine, the brightest of my day.
What's fascinating is that Pat didn't force the music on anyone. He let it come naturally. Even now, as he has returned to acting in some other movies, but every once in a while, he shares a bit of his music life on social media, still strumming his guitar, still that soft-spoken lover boy from the golden Nollywood era, just with the mic now. At number 16, we have Omala Jaladi. She's a certified Nollywood queen with over 300 movie credits and a Time 100 listing to her name. For Omala Jaladi, known as Sexy, music was another of her talents, and not just a song here and there. Omala went all in, bringing her fierce, confident energy to the world of pop and Afrobeats. In 2005, she released a debut album, Ba, a project that carried her signature blend of glamour and message-driven art. While the album didn't break the same records as her films, it put her on the map as an artist who could carry a tune with confidence. But the real standout moment was Feel Alright, a catchy collaboration with Harry's song that showcased her growth as a singer. The song was part of her unreleased sophomore project, Me, Myself and I. And of course, there were other tracks like Call Me and the energetic Get Busy, which saw Sexy bring in a bold, club-ready sound. Her musical journey may not have taken center stage the way her acting did, but it was very stylish, empowering, and unexpected. She was one of the first Nollywood A-listers to start releasing songs and actually back it up with a body of work. At number 15, we have Charles Okocha.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Charles Okocha, aka Mr. Phenomenal.
He has always lived like a walking meme in his movie roles, from viral slang to his overly dramatic skits to running shirtless with motivational rage in his eyes. He has built an entire brand around chaos and charisma. But when he turned his catchphrases into music, he went from comic relief to actual chart presence. In 2023, he dropped the album Phenomenal, a name so on brand you must almost think it's a joke. But then then you listen and it's actually fire. Charles surprised everyone by delivering tracks that blended Afro-pop with his signature energy. It wasn't a parody, it was passion. Yes, the delivery was dramatic. Yes, the lyrics were meme-worthy, but it worked. Then in 2024, he followed up with Steez.
You get steez, I get steez. You get compo, I get compo. Sure, you get
A single that married hip-hop swagger with Afrobeats bounce. He knows his audience and he delivers. Whether or not you take him seriously, Charles takes himself seriously, and that's exactly what makes his music so fun. He's carved out a lane where music, acting, and personality all exist in one chaotic, entertaining package. Love him or laugh at him, he's running the game on his own terms. At number 14, we have Jim Iyke. If you watched Nollywood in the early 2000s, then Jim Iyke was likely your favorite on-screen rebel. The guy had that untouchable charisma, shades always on, temper always flaring, suits always crisp. Whether he was playing a streetwise hustler or a spoiled rich kid, he couldn't be tamed. Jim commanded attention like few others. But in 2007, fans saw a different side of him. He dropped an entire album, not just a vanity single, but a full-length project titled Who Am I? It was unexpected, sure, but not exactly out of character. Jim had always carried himself like a rock star. The only surprise was that he teamed up with none other than Tubaba, then still widely known as Two-Face Idibia, for the album's lead single. That collaboration wasn't a gimmick, it was an actual attempt to build a credible music persona. The track was soulful, smooth, and introspective, a stark contrast from his usual fiery on-screen persona. The album itself blended spoken word, Afrobeat, and R&B, laced with themes of self-discovery, ambition, and identity. Jim wasn't just playing around. He didn't follow it up with more albums, but in interviews over the years, he's hinted at how important that project was to him. At number 13, we have Tonto Dikeh. Tonto came into the Nollywood scene like a whirlwind. With her raw talent and unpredictable characters, she quickly built a reputation as a darling actress who brought something extra to every role. Her first taste of music came through the legendary Mama G in the song Iyongwongwo. At the time, it felt like a novelty, just actresses having fun in the studio. A few years later, she made headlines when she signed to the Banji's DB Records. That move came with a lot of media frenzy, photo shoots, studio teasers, and all the glitz of a major music debut. She dropped a couple of songs, most notably High and Sugar Rush, and High, which went viral. Some critics mocked the auto-tune heavy vocals, but her fans, Team Tonto, were ride or die.
Let me say you tush, let me say you push, but the kind of love you they give me, they do me like sugar rush.
She even performed on big stages and pushed herself into music videos that felt like mini Nollywood films. But ultimately, the music didn't have the same staying power as her acting. She didn't drop an album, and after a few years, the buzz cooled. Still, you can't talk about Nollywood actors who crossed into music without mentioning Tonto. At number 12, we have Angela Okori. If anyone has truly transitioned into music from Nollywood, it's Angela Okori. It was a full career shift, and she's been consistent about it. Angela made a name in Nollywood playing femme fatales, strong female leads, and women who took no prisoners. But around 2019, she started hinting at a new passion. Her first single, Someday, was a soft introduction. But by 2020, she was already deep into her music career, putting out back-to-back releases with the intensity of a hungry artist rather than a bored celebrity. In 2021, she dropped Free the Matter, featuring Ghanaian superstar Shatta Wale. It was catchy, upbeat, and got decent traction across West Africa. Then came Call Your Name in 2022, Ale and My Life in 2023, and the recent Fire Adi Body in 2024, and Hold Me in 2025.
When I dey hustle they go, nobody know my story.
With each release, Angela fine-tuned her sound. Afropop, dancehall, R&B, and even gospel influences weaving through her beats. In interviews, she made it clear that music isn't a hobby, it's her truth. She has spoken about writing songs for years, before ever stepping into a booth, and even teased a full album coming soon. At number 11, we have Harry B. You can't talk about Nollywood's crossover into music without putting some respect on Harry B's name. This man isn't just an actor, he's a whole vibe, a charismatic force that straddles old school Nollywood and the ever-evolving entertainment scene with remarkable ease. Harry B. Anyanwu didn't start off as a rapper, but when he entered that lane, he made sure people paid attention. Before the music, he had already cemented his status in Nollywood with a memorable performance in Keke Millionaire in 2013. That film, which was part comedy, part social commentary, introduced audiences to his warm on-screen presence and sharp comedic timing. But then came the music, and with it, a whole new side of Harry B. His singles Pedigree and Isina Wall were energetic, confident, and streetwise. He delivered bars with the ease of someone who grew up around hip-hop and Afrobeat rhythms. The beats slapped, the lyrics were playful but intentional. There was no mistaking it. Harry B wasn't just testing waters, he was swimming in them.
Isina Wall.
In Pedigree, he flexed his heritage and self-worth like a seasoned rapper, owning his status with a swag that would make younger artists take notes. He rapped in Igbo and Pidgin with ease, bridging traditional vibes and modern sensibilities. It's no surprise that his music caught on, especially among fans who already adored him on the big screen. What's truly remarkable about Harry B's musical detour is how he didn't treat it like a side hustle. He embraced the full aesthetic, music videos, collaborations, and stage performances, and even though he never left Nollywood, Harry B proved he could hang with the new school and hold his own. At number 10, we have Genevieve Nnaji. She didn't just become a star, she redefined what it meant to be a star. Before the award, the international acclaim, and the directorial masterpiece Lionheart, she was already the poster child for Nollywood's golden era. Whether she was playing a sweet love interest or a hard-nosed businesswoman, Genevieve brought a kind of magnetic poise that couldn't be taught. But while many remember her face lighting up the screen, others remember her voice floating through speakers in the early 2000s. Yes, Genevieve had a music career, and not just a song or two, she dropped a whole album. In 2004, she released one Logo line, a blend of R&B, Afro-pop, and Niger rhythm that showcased her sultry voice and artistic range. The soundtrack was No More. It was a soft breakup anthem with an infectious hook and a gentle radio-ready beats. It didn't feel like a gimmick. It felt like Genevieve was speaking directly to young Nigerian women navigating the heartbreaks and realities of early adulthood. The album wasn't just about music, it was about showing another dimension of herself. And let's not forget her iconic appearance as the love interest in the band's Fall in Love video. That moment alone was historic. Nigerians still talk about that cameo like it was a major cinematic event. It added a dash of fantasy and glamour to an already catchy song, and it remains one of the most memorable music videos in Nigerian pop history. Genevieve may not have pursued music long term, but she didn't need to. One album, one legendary video cameo, and 1,000 heartbeats captured, she left her mark. At number 9, we have Sheung Arenzi. He has been around long enough to be considered one of Nollywood's elder statesmen. His voice is instantly recognizable. He has played villains, fathers, lovers, pastors, and just about anything you can think of. But before many knew him as the commanding presence on screen, Sheung was already serenading ears as a musician. Back in 1992, long before the explosion of Afrobeats or streaming platforms, Arenzi dropped Dreams, his debut album under Premier Records. It wasn't a side hustle, it was the main gig. The album fused soul, R&B, and light pop, a reflection of Nigeria's music scene at the time. It was thoughtful, melodic, and built around strong vocals and poetic lyrics. His music leaned more toward introspection than hype, and it made sense considering his stage and theater roots. Sheung didn't chase clouds, he sang stories, sometimes about love, sometimes about life, always with intention. But he wasn't done. Even after he transitioned fully into Nollywood and became a household name, he still dipped his toes in music. Notably, he featured on Sake's Na Waiting, comedic but heartfelt ode to Nigerian street food and local life. It was a hilarious ensemble record, and his voice gave it the dramatic flair only Sheung could provide. Though his music career may not have reached the commercial heights of his acting career, Sheung Arenzi's influence is foundational. He proved that performance, whether sung or spoken, is all about presence. At number 8, we have Ramsey Noah. If Nollywood ever had a heartthrob in chief, it would be him. With his boyish charm, smothering eyes, and soft voice, Ramsey Noah has been stealing hearts since the VHS era. He's a go-to romantic lead, the guy who always knows when to whisper, when to smirk, When to Break Your Heart. But even Ramsey, the king of love stories, had a flirtation with music. He didn't go full for an album, but he gave us a moment. In the early 2000s, he linked up with Sheung Arenzi on Sake's Now Waiting, and the result was pure entertainment. Ramsey's verse wasn't trying to out-rap anybody or shake the dance floor. It was comedic, cheeky, and charming, just like his on-screen persona. Now Waiting wasn't a chart topper, but it was a cult classic. It made the rounds on TV, in clubs, and among fans who loved seeing their favorite stars loosen up and have fun. Ramsey's contribution was light-hearted, the kind of thing that reminds you that not every artistic expression has to be serious. Sometimes it's just vibes, and Ramsey delivered those in abundance. He didn't stay in music, he didn't need to, but in that short musical cameo, he reminded us that even the most polished actors sometimes just want to laugh into a mic and make people smile. Since then, he has gone on to become one of the most popular faces in Nollywood, both as an actor and director. At number 7, we have Ken Eriks. He's one of those talents who moves quietly but leaves an impact in his wake. He's the guy who would make you cry in one movie, then turn around and be your dream husband in another. Rising to fame through emotionally rich performances in Igbo language and English language films, Ken has always been the dependable gentleman of Nollywood, expressive, intense, and consistently grounded. But beneath the soulful acting was always a deeper artistic layer. Ken didn't start music just because it was trendy. He studied theatre art, and part of that journey included a close relationship with music, songwriting, composing, performing. He plays instruments. He arranges his music himself. His songs don't just exist to fill space, they reflect a certain rootedness in spirituality, culture, and gratitude. Tracks like Inozikwo Me, which loosely translates to It Has Started Happening, compact with spiritual gravitas. It's gospel with Igbo cultural color, often performed with minimal production but heavy vocal conviction.
Caring for your healing, my God. Oh my God.
Then there's Thank You Baba, a worship anthem that's found a home in many Nigerian church playlists, and Ihe Mere, which continues that reflective, spiritually charged sound space. Next up at number 6, we have Charles Awurum. The man is a walking masterclass in comedy, seasoned, sharp, and just downright funny. But to box him into funny man territory alone would be selling him way short. Charles Awurum has done a little bit of everything: acting, directing, producing, even making music, and somehow he still manages to do it all with this signature blend of satire and sincerity. Charles didn't just stumble into entertainment, he's been orbiting around it for many years. His big Nollywood moments didn't come until the late 90s, around 1999 to be exact. But when it did, it landed hard. One of the turning points was when he starred alongside the legendary Sam Loco Efe in Apama. But acting wasn't his only talent. Charles Awurum has songs. Back in 2009, he created a parody musical about the EFCC and turned their stern bureaucratic mission into redeeming satire. It was bold, unexpected, and surprisingly catchy. He had some other songs under his name like National Moi Moi, Jolly Forget Your Sorrow, and Iyong Wongo, which he featured alongside Mama G. They're not just comedic relief, they are part commentary, part jam session. You can laugh, dance, and low-key reflect on Nigeria's quirks all in one track. At number 5, we have Mr. Ibu or John Okafor. He's something else entirely. Few faces in Nollywood are as instantly recognizable or as consistently hilarious. His comedy brand made him a household name, not just in Nigeria but across Africa and in diaspora communities where his films are passed around like cultural candy. But in the mid-2000s, Mr. Ibu surprised everyone by jumping into music. In 2005, he released This Girl, a playful, funny, sometimes ridiculous jam that still makes people laugh when they hear it today. It had that unmistakable Mr. Ibu charm, chaotic, unserious, yet oddly catchy. Then came Do You Know, where he mixed romance with comedy in his signature clueless lover persona. His music didn't climb the charts like pop bangers, but that wasn't the point. There were extensive mentions of his comic brand music as a continuation of the joke, and fans were more happy to follow him from screen to stereo. And even though he didn't pursue music with the same seriousness as some others, the songs still float around in old school Nollywood corners and nostalgic playlists. At number 4, we have Kennedo. Long before the music, Kennedo had already become Nollywood royalty. After his breakout role in Living in Bondage, the film credited with kickstarting the modern Nollywood era. Kennedo became the poster boy for intense dramatic performances. But beneath the drama, Kennedo has always carried his roots with pride. When he does music, it's not your typical studio production. He gravitates toward traditional cultural songs, Igbo folk rhythms, chants, and wisdom-laced lyrics. He hasn't pushed these songs into the mainstream spotlight, but fans who have seen him perform live or caught snippets online know there's a depth there. It's music that feels ancient and sacred, like palm wine under the moonlight. Kennedo's songs are more like oral history with a soundtrack. At number 3, we have Chimatago. If you grew up on Nollywood, chances are you've heard Chimatago say something absolutely ridiculous and then rewind the scene to hear it again. With his iconic red cap, walking stick, and a bag of idiomatic zingers no one could predict, he carved his name as Nollywood's king of comic mischief and verbal chaos. Whether he was a wicked uncle, a scheming chief, or just the guy shouting some unique lines, he made sure you never forgot his presence. But what many people don't know, or maybe just forget, is that Chimatago once carried his razor-sharp tongue into the recording studio, and the result? A politically charged, satire-laced track titled Mr. President.
Enough is enough, oh. Enough is enough, oh, my people.
In true Ago fashion, Mr. President wasn't just a song, it was a monologue dressed as music. Over a marching beat, the actor cum musician delivered a sermon of satire, reflecting on Nigeria's endless blessings and the leaders who somehow managed to ruin them all. With zero subtlety, he laid bare the frustrations of a people caught in cycles of corruption, mismanagement, and false promises. Chimatago didn't chase a music career beyond a handful of tracks, but Mr. President remains an underrated gem, a reminder that under all the comic chaos, the man had sharp political opinions and the confidence to voice them, beat or no beat. At number 2, we have Patience Ozokwo, or Mama G. When the name Mama G comes up, instantly your mind races. Maybe she's poisoning someone's food, maybe she's warning her daughter-in-law to respect the gods, or maybe she's just laughing that signature evil laugh that haunts Nollywood weddings and village meetings alike. Patience Ozokwo built a career out of playing unforgettable villains, stern mother-in-laws, overprotective aunties, conniving wives, but off-screen, the woman behind the madness is full of surprises. She can sing, and Mama G went big. Full album, multiple videos, dance routines, outfits, backup dancers, the whole 9. And she didn't come alone. She brought backup in the form of Charles Awurum, another comedic Nollywood heavyweight, and a young pre-controversy Tonto Dikeh. The project had hits like National Moi Moi, Make We Jolly, and Iyong Gwongwo, songs that felt like the musical equivalent of a party in your grandmother's compound. They were rooted in cultural references, full of street slang, laced with humor, and overflowing with that unmistakable Mama G energy. National Moi Moi especially stood out, a metaphor-heavy anthem comparing the Nigerian political class to Moi Moi. Soft, shapeless, and full of empty calories. It was absurd. It was catchy. It was peak Mama G.
This government now open the policy. If you like it,
The music videos were just as loud and proud, with Mama G dancing in colorful traditional attire, gesturing with the same dramatic flair that made her a movie icon. This wasn't a vanity project, it was a full rebrand. For a moment, she wasn't the wicked mother-in-law, she was a cultural hype queen, and it worked. Nigerians everywhere, from beer parlors to backyard weddings, danced to her songs. It was fun, playful, and uniquely hers. Just like her film career, her music didn't aim for perfection, it aimed for presence. At number 1, we have Chem or Osofia. If you want to talk about Nollywood actors who made real chart-busting music, you have to talk about Osofia. One of Nigeria's most beloved comedic actors, he made his mark playing the wide-eyed, village-bred trickster who always found himself in modern-day madness. Whether it was in Osofia in London or Ukwa, his style was built on sharp wit, physical comedy, and the kind of Naija hustle spirit you couldn't help but root for. So it made sense when he stepped into music world with a character to match, the streetwise trickster turned singer. That's how we got I Go Chop Your Dollar.
I don't suffer no be small. Upon say I get sense.
This wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural reset. I Go Chop Your Dollar was Nigeria's first real satire anthem about 419 advance fee fraud. In a time when global headlines were full of stories about Nigerian scammers and internet fraud, Nkemowo took the topic and flipped it into a comedic masterpiece, sung through the lens of a proud trickster who boasted about deceiving white men for money. It was controversial, yes, but it was also undeniably catchy. The beat thumped like an early 2000s high life infused club track, and Nkem's delivery, half spoken, half sung, made it feel more like a stand-up comedy routine over instrumentals. The song caused enough of a stir that it was banned in some countries, but that only fueled its popularity. Every DJ had it, every party played it, and whether or not you agreed with the message, you found yourself humming along. But Osofia didn't pursue a music career after that hit, but instead went on to become a Nollywood legend.
419 no be thief, it's just a game.